Very deep inside the FBI headquarters is a secret room containing 2 million records. This burn bag room was uncovered by the FBI, and now the nonprofit group Judicial Watch is suing for government transparency and accountability. The group filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the Justice Department in hopes of questioning the agency about their handling of the records, including who discovered the burn bag room and when, who had access to it, and how records ended up stored in the burn bags in the first place. The FBI responded to the suit by telling a federal court that at a rate of 500 pages a month, processing the records could take roughly 158 years. There are two categories: legacy or historic files and recent files tied to high-profile investigations. President Trump even used the term burn bag when he gave a speech in July about election interference, claiming the records tied to past investigations, including the Russia collusion cases, were supposed to be destroyed. Joining me now is Director of Investigations and Research at Judicial Watch, Chris Farrell, and former FBI Special Agent Jonathan Gilliam. Chris, first to you. As a career investigator, does this sound like a big black hole where past FBI directors have been burying embarrassing records?
It is. There's nearly 2 million documents in that room, and they go back years. And of course, they also touch on very recent developments and investigations, like the Jack Smith investigation. They're not controlled. They're not even, the Department of Justice and FBI says they're not even really sure what's there. And so there's this enormous trove of records and documents. They're not controlled, they're not indexed, that no one knows what they are. It's a real concern, not just for open transparency and FOIA kind of work, but even from other nations. You know, MI5 asked a question of the FBI about a particular counterintelligence issue. They don't even know what they have as far as records or holdings. Or let's say NYPD Intelligence Division has a question and they go to check with the FBI. They don't even know what they have in this room. It's really disgraceful.
Well, it sounds like they don't know what they have by design. Jonathan, as a seasoned FBI agent, who at the FBI leadership level would have the power and authority to do this?
Well, I don't know. That's very interesting, this whole thing about a burn bag room and the fact that the excuse that the FBI is giving that it would take 158 years to go through this, when, you know, Chris knows, Catherine, I believe you know, everything that we do, every keystroke that we make is recorded on a database. It's not like these documents just exist with nothing to back them up. So first off, let's talk about who's in charge now and what they could be doing. If I want to go and look at every single thing that I've ever done on the internet, I can go and find an app that does AI that can pull everything down and basically write a book for me on my philosophies. So you're telling me that the FBI can't have an app go through and look for keywords in all of these and find all these documents? I'm just not believing that at all. So I believe, first of all, something's going on with the leadership there now that is not telling us what we need to know. And secondly, I've never heard of any policy that gives specific authority to directors to have this ability to have their own burn room and keep information from investigators.
It's like a crazy thing, right? I mean, burn bags, burn rooms. I mean, Chris, I just want to pick up on what Jonathan was saying. There has to be a faster way to, if there's a will, there's a way, right? Whether it's AI or some other method. So is it the position of Judicial Watch that this 158 years is just kind of a made-up number to sort of slow roll the whole process?
It's preposterous. Jonathan's exactly correct. A smart paralegal could knock out 500 pages in an afternoon when it comes to document reviews. So 500 pages in a month is insulting. It's idiotic. Look, they could scan every document in the room, use AI to categorize and sort it, and they could have an answer in a matter of days if they wanted to. And that's the problem. They don't want to. They're involved in legal gamesmanship and slow rolling this thing. I don't know why. You know, at the time, then Deputy Director Bongino made this sort of spontaneous utterance at the end of an interview on Fox and Friends. And he warned Americans that they would be shocked, stunned at what they found. And now they're playing this little kind of cutesy-patsy game of, well, we know what it is, but we're not going to tell you. And we could review it, but it's going to take almost 200 years. This is very disingenuous and dishonest. The American public, and for that matter, President Trump, is not well served.
Jonathan, I'm just thinking about the sheer volume of records. I'm notorious for hanging on to records and documents way too long, but I have nothing approaching what someone is describing here. It sounds like it had to be built up over years. So multiple FBI directors or their closest associates were using this room as a dumping ground.
Very well could be. At first, we just thought it was a couple of bags. I mean, I remember talking with you about this. We thought, oh my goodness, they found a couple bags that looked like somebody panicked and put some bags somewhere. But the more this story unfolds, the more we're starting to find out is that this was a private storage room in FBI headquarters for executives. And that really, again, makes no sense because these documents, everything is on a hard database somewhere. And even the ones that they're talking about from the CIA or any of these other agencies, it's on a hard database somewhere. So it's very, very odd to me why they would keep millions of documents in a burn room when everybody else is required. If you're going to dispose of this, it gets burnt. That's why it's in a burn room. Not just shredded, it gets burnt. And so this doesn't make any sense to me why this legacy room, this mysterious room would exist for a long period of time. And it also answers, answers the question as well, Catherine, that everybody's wondering, did somebody put these bags, these few bags aside on purpose? It appears now as though that was not the case. If what we're hearing is true, that this is just a place where the executives put their information.
Just in the final few seconds, Chris, I guess what bothers me about this is that we have no idea about the classification of these records. One has to operate on the assumption that there is classified information there, so you have an FBI that is mishandling classified information, which is a federal crime at the end of the day.
Right. The building or the room that you're describing is a SCIF, a sensitive compartmented information facility, which is sort of the holy of holies where the real secrets are kept. But the representations they've made to the court are that they have no idea even what's in there.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really the problem. That is the problem. They are out of control.
Yeah,
and
they're out of control. And we'll just have to leave it there, I'm afraid. Jonathan Gilliam and Chris Farrell, thanks so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.